It's the 5th and 6th rounds of the Jaguar Civic Cup here at Croft today, and it's Carl Swift that's going to line up on pole position, but next to him is a star of the British Touring Car Championship, Sam Tordoff, racing in his familiar number 600. Second row of the grid will have on the inside the number 34 car of Mark Grice, who was on the podium at Alton Park, and John Peerless, who is the man that lies second in the Class B Championship coming into this weekend. Let's not forget Class A as well. David Buki leading the points in that from Chris Coomer. It's really between those two as far as the Championship is concerned at this very early stage of the season. But fastest today in practice was Chris Coomer, so he lines up ahead of Buki. Lights out then, and away we go for the first of two races today for the Jaguar Civic Cup, and Mark Grice from the second row of the grid has been swallowed up there. Andrew Gorgler in the yellow car goes through, as in the inset you can see the grid of the earlier Civic cars, the 1.6 litre cars, go through from Class A. David Buki is who we're on board with, and it's Chris Coomer you can see up ahead, but Buki there, the Class A Championship leader, losing ground, cars either side of him. Back to Class B and back to Mark Grice, who has got work to do, hasn't he? He showed his pace in qualifying. He was third fastest, 1.6 seconds off Carl Swift, just about 17/100th slower from the man who lies 7th in the British Touring Car Championship, Sam Tordoff, at this point. There is the 27 car, James Griffith, who went well in the second of the races, the reverse grid race at Brands Hatch, and led for a while, keeping Carl Swift at bay. But no one's keeping Carl Swift at bay here. He is leading the race at the moment. It's John Peerless in second. Sam Tordoff is down to third place, then Gorgler up to fourth position from 6th on the grid. So he has had a good start to this race. Out of Sunny, Carl Swift really getting away from the rest of them already. John Peerless, number 46 in second position. And so far this season he's had a couple of podium finishes. He was briefly the winner at Alton Park as well before Mark Higginson had his appeal upheld, and therefore he was restated to the race win. Higginson not here this weekend, by the way, so the man that lies 4th in the championship not here to make further progress up the order. There you can see the 51 car of David Buki, and behind him is the yellow car of Ben Sharp, the Northampton-based driver, in his second meeting of the season. We didn't see him at Brands, we did see him for the season opener at Alton though. 53 is Martin James, and Martin also racing here at Croft this weekend in the Sport Specials Championship too, so he's on double duty. In fact, he's going to race straight after this. He'll be pretty exhausted after that, I should think. We're on board here with Mark Grice then, and currently he's in 6th place. He started third on the grid, so keen to make progress back up the order on the straight towards Towers. Just been through that left-hand kink. All of these Civics looking absolutely magnificent. They really turned out beautifully, aren't they? A great credit to the Jaguar Civic Cup Championship, running with championship status for the second year now. Last year it was Adam Shepherd that won it from Carl Swift after a season-long battle. Swift back to try and improve this season. Meanwhile, John Peerless coming under pressure there from Sam Tordoff, who's got a lot to get used to this weekend, racing a front-wheel drive car once again. He's racing a BMW in the British Touring Car Championship at the moment. On board here with number 51 then, David Buki, and you can see that he has work to do because 23 Tim Evans is ahead. They are getting past one of the slower Class B cars there, number 3 Luca Diella, not showing the form that he did at Alton Park earlier on in the season, when I think possibly the wet conditions that we had there played into his favour a little bit. Back on board with Mark Grice behind Martin James, and on to the start and finish straight once again, accelerating away up through the H-pattern gearbox, of course, as they make their way towards the right-hander at Clervaux. That's where the Rallycross circuit joins on with the tarmac track there. You can just see that joining on the right. Mark Grice may well be more comfortable on the Rallycross type circuit. He's been a multiple British and national autograss champion in his rear-wheel drive Mini. 55 there is Coomer, and there is Buki now. So Buki, I think, is up to second place. Yes, he is, ahead of the Martini-liveried Tim Evans. Vastly experienced across lots of different types of car racing and karting in the past, back in the 1980s. So on board with Buki now, the Prestonian. In fact, the top 3 drivers in the Class A part of the race, all from Preston at the moment: Coomer, Buki and Evans. That's the number 31 car, which is Anthony Turner from Accrington, a little bit further back down the order, circulating more or less on his own at the moment. Here's the battle for second, because Carl Swift is just way out front. It's 46 John Peerless then, who switched to the Civics from Classic Stock Catch during the course of last season, ahead of Sam Tordoff, ahead of Andrew Gorgler, and ahead now of Mark Grice. Martin James has dropped back, and I think possibly has lost some bodywork along the way. Now, that's rain that's just starting to fall on the windscreen there, so that's an extra dimension to play into all of this as well. That might actually play into the hands of Mark Grice, the Bristolian, the HGV driver, given his motorsport background. Gorgler it is ahead of us, the 35-year-old company director, now enjoying his third season racing in the Jaguar Civics. There's Carl Swift, a brief view of him. We look back though to see who is second. It is still John Peerless. Sam Tordoff is third. In fourth place is Gorgler. Fifth is Grice, and yes, sixth is Son's bumper now, Martin James. So not quite sure how he did that, but somewhere around the circuit he's made contact with something, possibly just grounded the car on a curb or something, and has lost the front bumper. So Carl Swift it is that leads on to the final lap. He's racing Autograss, he's racing Briscoe F1, he did stock catch for season in 2014, finishing third in the championship, having some race wins along the way. Looked like he might win the Jaguar Civic Cup last season, but had a horrible meeting at Snetterton that really compromised him, but looking good so far this year. Winning both of the last two races at Brands Hatch, this will complete a hat-trick of wins if it stays this way. Here's something that happens a little bit further back down the order. That's the 52 car of Simon Deaton going off through the gravel trap at Clervaux at quite high speed. Carl Swift though untroubled as he turns his way through the complex for the final time. He's got a big lead over the rest of them. There you can see John Peerless just heading into view now, but Swift it is in that number 45 car for the man from Sheffield, so I guess racing in his home county of Yorkshire this weekend. He is going to go through and take the win. Second is going to go to number 46 John Peerless, the man from Oxfordshire, as the checkered flag goes out. So Swift takes the win. Peerless holds off Sam Tordoff. That's something to tell his mates in the week. Tordoff it is that takes third. What of the class for 1600cc cars? Well, it's going to be Chris Coomer that takes the win, but who's going to be second? Because Ben Sharp piling the pressure on David Buki here as they turn their way through the hairpin for the final time, and they've made progress up the order to 12th, 13th and 14th positions respectively. So good drives there from the leading Class A guys, but the win by a few seconds goes the way of Chris Coomer, and that is his second triumph of the season. Confirmation of the results, and a 6-second win for Carl Swift. No surprise that he got the fastest lap, and a lap record as well at 1:37.97. Peerless, Tordoff, Gorgler, Grice and Martin James rounded out the top six. Further back we can see that Chris Coomer was 12th overall, winning Class A as well. The margin between himself and David Buki was less than 2 seconds. Buki second ahead of Sharp, with the fourth in that class, Mervyn Beckett. Well, that was a very convincing win in the first Civic Cup race of the day.
Yeah, fantastic race really, got a great start. Saw that John Peerless had managed to get a good start from row 2 and get in front of Sam Tordoff, so I thought, while there's a bit of battle in there first lap, put a couple of laps in, and I think I got the fastest time on that second lap, so just put a bit of a gap which let me back off towards the end when the tyres go on this track.
Race 2 of course is from a reverse grid. How much of a challenge is that going to be around this particular circuit?
Extremely difficult, it's a bit tight, a bit twisty, difficult to pass, and there's Sam Tordoff aside, and I've got John Peerless and Mark Grice. It's going to be tough coming through there, but
excellent.
Enjoy it.
Excellent, thank you. John Peerless, second place, a real hard race there, holding back Sam Tordoff.
Yeah, I had my work cut out. He kept saying I kept missing the apexes, and then he'd catch up with me, but then I'd come out the corner and pull away, and he just said, whatever. I just had to do the best I could, and at the end of the day, I'm so chuffed that I beat him, so it's fantastic.
And that was all set up by a great start to the race for you.
Yeah, I do get the car off the line quickly. I know I do, and it's something I've practiced on, and it shows dividend, doesn't it? Gain 2 places, and then I'm just defending, so it was fantastic.
Okay. Sam Tordoff, third place on your debut in the Jaguar Civic Cup. How was your baptism into this particular championship?
much fun. I really enjoyed it. I had a great battle with John there over second place, and yeah, it's completely new thing for me. Front wheel drive, I haven't done that for a while, and first time here in the Civic Cup, and really enjoyed it. And hopefully we can go better in the second race.
Yeah, presumably you're learning about the car almost every corner and every lap.
Yeah, I had 10 minutes on Friday to try and learn my way around it, and then straight into qualifying. So it's all very, very new. Manual gearbox, having to use the clutch all the time. So, but great fun and good bit of practice before we're back here for the BTCs.
Of course, the next race is a reverse grid race. You're well used to that in the touring cars.
Yes, and usually causes chaos. So hopefully I'll be trying to avoid that and get another podium.
Excellent. So Chris Coomer, winner today in Class A, first race of the Civic Cup. How was that?
Yeah, it was great. We've had a couple of engine issues in qualifying. It seemed to go into limp-home mode. Did a bit of something with the car before the race. It did do it again, but only towards the end. And by that point, I'd luckily put a couple of 2 litre cars between me and David, and managed to hold the gap. But I think he was coming, but I sort of managed it a bit, really.
Yeah. And he's won 3 races this season. I think you've now won 2, so you're gaining on him in the points at least.
Yeah, we're getting back there. I think if I can, we're reverse grid, so not much chance of getting another one today. But I think if I won today, we'd then be level again on points. So yeah, good close championship.
It's time now for round 6 of the Protec Shock Sport Specials Championship, and on pole position for this one is the orange Sienna Mark II of Rob Johnston, who won the race yesterday. Second on the grid is Martin James in his Ariel Atom. There's 2 Eclipse SM1s on the second row of the grid, the man that was second yesterday, Clive Hudson, and for Paul Collingwood. On the third row you've got another Atom, that's for Matthew Ellis and Matthew Booth in his MK Indy. Now the majority of competitors these days gravitating towards Class C, that's for cars with a maximum power to weight ratio of 340 brake horsepower per tonne. And they run on List 1A or 1B tyres in that class. Still Yokohamas or Avens in classes A and B for Duratex and Zetex respectively. Lights go on then for round 6 of the Protec Shock Sport Special Championship, and the race gets underway, and it's a bit of a brush there going on between a couple of the drivers in the midfield, but a great start from the third row of the grid by Matthew Booth in car number 56, and he goes around the outside to take second place there into Clervaux corner for the first time. So a great start for Matthew Booth. He has gone away very well indeed, the driver from Huddersfield, but it's Martin James from the outside of the front row that leads. Booth is second, and it looked like Ellis in third place. Those Ariel Atoms do get off the line very well indeed. I saw towards the back there Imran Khan already having made up a couple of places, having had problems in qualifying yesterday. Johnson there in fourth, Hudson fifth. It looks like Adrian Cooper, the reigning champion who switched to Class C for this season, is there in sixth place, and there's last year's Class A champion Anton Landon, number 4. He started this race on row 5 of the grid. But out towards Barcroft they go for the first time then. It's James that leads, Booth second, Ellis third, Johnston fourth and Hudson fifth. Turning their way through sunny in and out. It looks like Collingwood there now up to 6th place and Cooper down to 7th. Making their way towards the complex for the first time, and that's a great move from Matthew Booth to take the lead. Wow! He lost control a little bit there. He was struggling to scrub the speed off. He carried a lot of speed into that corner to dive down the inside of Martin James in the Atom. But Matthew Booth, from 6th on the grid, he's leading the race by the end of the lap. Amazing stuff. He's there in his MK Indy, which now leads, and ahead of the 2 Atoms that got off the line well again, as they did yesterday. And Rob Johnston is seeing them side by side there, and around the outside to take second place goes Matthew Ellis, number 48, ahead of his fellow Atom driver Martin James, number 30, fresh from his race in the Tagiwa Civic Cup just a few minutes ago. Oh, and Rob Johnston going rather slowly there. He's lost places. Clive Hudson's gone through. So too has Paul Collingwood as well. So Johnston loses a couple of places with a moment down there at Hawthorne. And he is leading the championship coming into this weekend, and off goes number 48 now. So having just got into second place, Matthew Ellis has gone straight through the gravel trap. He's into the farmer's field as well. He'll rejoin across the farm track and get back onto the circuit. Battle going on here between two of the veterans of the 750 Motor Club. Number 5, Nigel Brown, and also involved there is John Moore, number 6. He had one of 2 FRS Arrows on the grid. The other, the hire car, is for Imran Khan. You could just see the Ginetta going through as well. That's the G20 of Wayne Rothwell, which enjoys Honda power now. So these 2 drivers making their way towards Sunny. That's the 15 car of Paul Collingwood, who started there on the second row of the grid. Now Rob Johnston is trying to bounce back here from that problem a few laps ago, and it's Johnston that has had 4 podium finishes out of the 5 races that we've had so far this season, and is lining Collingwood up now. He's later on the brakes going into Tower Corner, one of the best overtaking opportunities of the lap, and he's gone through. So Johnston now goes through to take the place away. Go back on board with him. They go left and right through the Jim Clark S's. Lots of runoff there on the outside. Oh, and look at the closing speed there as the number 47 car, John Potter, the MEV MX150R, is lapped by the leading contenders. And look how Johnston has caught in on the number 30 car of Martin James as well. He's taken a load of time out of James on this lap. He's going to attack him into the complex as well. The 2 of them are going to run side by side. Can Johnston duke it out all the way around the outside? He has done it! Just like we've seen from other competitors during the course of this weekend, around the outside into the complex can be done. And Rob Johnston has indeed made that one stick, so he has gone through, and that now is, I think, back up to 3rd position. Well, James fighting back here into Tower Corner, has a look down the inside, and he goes back through. So 3rd, 4th and 5th right together now, because we've got Paul Collingwood involved as well. Further up the road, Clive Hudson is 2nd and Matthew Booth is still leading. But all eyes on this fight for 3rd place as the cars reappear from behind the crops there. It's Martin James that has got back through. Arguably the handling of the non-atom cars, the non-exoskeletal type cars, is thought to be a bit better. That's quite important round here at Croft. It's a reasonably technical circuit, some quick corners and some slower corners as well, such as the complex that they're now arriving at. And Johnston, although out of shape, tries to throw one up the inside. He's going to try and go around the outside at the second element of the complex. That will put him on the inside line for the left-handed hairpin to end the lap, but no, it doesn't work. Or it might work now, as James gets it a bit wrong halfway around the corner. Johnston is going to get alongside him, but tucks back in behind the Atom as they go down the straight. Amazing fight this for 3rd, 4th and 5th. There's our 2nd place man going through shot. Number 3, Clive Hudson. He was 3rd in the championship last year. Champion last year was Adrian Cooper, of course, from Paul Boyd in 2nd. So we're watching this amazing fight go on. Now problems for Matthew Ellis in the other Atom. He's had a spin. Johnston back ahead, but at Tower Corner he locks up and James can go through. Well, the places just keep changing down at Tower Bend during the course of this race. Johnston back down to 4th then. But there's our race leader, Matthew Booth, on his last lap. He had an amazing first lap of the race, but on the last lap, he's now well clear of Clive Hudson, 3.5 seconds. It's been relatively untroubled after that. Still watching this fight. Can Johnston get back onto the podium? Oh, yes he can. There was barely a gap there, and James runs out of road in the end, and he goes off onto the grass. He loses a couple of places because of that, but the checkered flag goes out to Matthew Booth. What an amazing win that is for him. There goes Clive Hudson in 2nd place, 3.5 seconds back. And who's going to be 3rd? It's going to be Johnston. Collingwood is now his nearest challenger after James left the circuit. Over the line they go, and just Rob Johnston hanging on to 3rd place. Confirmation of the results. Matthew Booth winning by 3.5 seconds from Clive Hudson. Hudson, though, got the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 32.02. Rob Johnston getting 3rd place back on the last lap from Paul Collingwood and Paul Boyd. Martin James eventually placing in 6th. best of the Class A finishers was John Moore in 8th overall, while the best of the Class B Z-Tech class finishers was Martin Buckland in 12th place overall. And that means that after this weekend, the championship is now being led by Rob Johnston by 5 points.
Well, Matthew Booth, congratulations, your first race win in Sports Specials and a track that's fairly local to you as well. Well done.
Thanks, it's actually my first time here, but it's a real nice track and I've taken to it quite well.
Yeah, obviously we're with the race win, and what a start as well, from 6th on the grid and you're second into the first corner. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's the best start I've ever done in this car. I'm normally quite poor at the start, so I thought I'd get to the front and capitalise on it before we got onto the straights, because the aerodynamics of my car, I'm a bit of a sitting duck on the straights, so I had to get my moves done and get clear.
Clive Hudson then second place in race 2 at Croft, and what a race it was, so much going on, particularly in the first half.
Well, yeah, the first couple of laps was the most exciting for me, really, and I got away with it, I think, more than anything else. You know, I almost collected Rob, one of the many. I see he had all the action behind me after that, but yeah, it's a shame I couldn't make an impression on first place. So it's one of those tricky circuits where if you try too hard, you get it wrong, and it can go wrong in a big way. So it's yeah, keep it together for the next race.
How do you like Croft, though? You say it is a real challenging circuit, but in a car like this, a lot of fun, I'd imagine.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. It is one of the different ones. It's yeah. Some of it needs just a lot of bottle, basically, and you know, obviously I'm lacking. But it's yeah, it's great. It's just different. It's fast. It feels fast, and yeah, it's great.
Well, Rob Johnston, 3rd place in the end, but what a topsy-turvy race. You started from pole, 6th into the first corner. So much going on.
It was, yeah. As you rightly says, we didn't get away very well. Bogged down a little bit, lost a few places, and then coming around on the second and third lap, there was some oil down on the track, and I lost out both laps. We then sort of fell back into a battle with the Atom of Martin James, and it was a race-long battle. It was a really good close racing, and yeah, we were just lucky enough to sort of do an out-braking manoeuvre into the complex, and here we are on the podium again. So all in all, a great weekend's racing.